Comrades, friends, and family, it is only when we stand before death that we reflect on our mortality. As the mourners bow their heads in grief and the speakers sing the praises of the departed, as the cool breeze meanders through the hall of the spirits, no one is spared a deep reflection into their soul. The greater the soul of the departed, the deeper the reflection of the living. Today is no exception and calls for very deep reflection, for here lies a soul greater than most can imagine. Here lies a soul that lived more years than most who came to bear witness to his departure. And some wonder why such a stately celebration for one who did not accumulate wealth in a world that measures us by the wealth we accumulate. Why such a one should be revered in a world where we are measured by possessions, when such a man did not have many possessions. Why such a man should be heaped praise in a world where title means recognition and he had no title. Why such a man should be celebrated for speaking the truth in a world that rewards false prophets and populists. Here lies a man with no title, no wealth, no possessions. And if success is measured by the accumulation of wealth, possessions, and title, then here lies a man that will be considered to have attained no success in life, and all who have been spawned by him should disassociate themselves from his failed life, lest they inherit the title of an unsuccessful man. And yet, I stand here proud of having the blood of the soul. For here in this hall of spirits, when the wind meanders and gently touches our souls, it whispers that every man and every woman, every boy and every girl, be they black or white, Hindu or Christian, rich or poor, they come to the altar of life with no wealth, no possessions, and no title. And they depart with no wealth, no possessions, and no title. Stripped bare of everything, they stand ready for the long journey of judgment. And how shall we judge this soul that lies before us? This soul with no wealth, no possessions, and no title. Another great soul, the mystic poet and storyteller Khalil Gibran, said, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars." Swami has both suffering and scars too many to count. From his birth into the bowels of poverty, to his imprisonment, persecution, denial of a livelihood and dignity, he has emerged as a strong soul with a massive character. As we have heard here today, and in the hundreds of tributes following the announcement of his death, as well as the accolades he has received over his life, here lies a soul defined by words like integrity, not dishonesty, commitment, not non-commitment, discipline, not indiscipline, dedication, not indifference, humble, not proud. He etched his name on a freedom charter and committed his life to defending it, and if the need arose, to die for it. He believed in the radical transformation of the system of apartheid into a society that was to be non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous. He fought for a noble cause without expectation of wealth, possessions, or title. He believed in service in the true sense of the word. He served all his life without reward and without fear or favor. A fair man. He took no sides and robustly defended the right and gently guided the wrong. A man who anchored his family in values that are timeless, yet lives in a time of declining values. He taught his immediate and wide extended family, which includes many of you, the value of respect, affording everybody, from peasant to president, from black to white, and people of all shades of religion, a little of his time and a mountain of his respect, with one rule: all are equal before his eyes, measured solely by their character. Everybody who knew him knew that he respected the time of every person. He was the first to arrive at any function and kept no one waiting. A man with attention to detail and an unwavering discipline, typical of his generation, but rare today. He paid his accounts on or before time in the little cash he had, because he did not believe in credit or credit cards. A man who knew the value of living within his means and saving for any eventuality. With the little he earned, he left no debt. He paid for all his medical and late care expenses by himself. While most people turn to the state or their children, he turned to neither. On the contrary, he always offered us the little he had, insisted on paying for his own haircut and contributing to his own breakfast expenses, and donating his very old Anglia car, one of the few possessions that he had, and some furniture to a community organization that needed it. He suffered many traumas and setbacks in life. He saw his brother, Rangasamy Gounden, a giant in his own right, a man who led the Indian Municipal Workers Union for 25 years as its chairman, and an inspiration to Swami himself. He saw his brother understandably turn away from his ideals after suffering in the 1949 riots, which saw many of his friends killed and families uprooted. Swami, despite going through the same suffering, did not waver from his ideals. He threw blame where blame lay, at the foot of the apartheid system that instigated the riots, and he worked tirelessly from that day to educate people about the real enemy they needed to focus on and eradicate. And he steadfastly pursued those ideals. In the aftermath of the recent disturbances of July, he was very distraught and lamented that apartheid had succeeded. He said it pained him that after 27 years, the same time that saw his contemporary revolutionary Mandela jailed for, he saw during that time apartheid's spatial development and economic inequality have turned back the clock on the decades of work his generation had done to build social cohesion among all the peoples of South Africa. He still said, "Let me not waver in my pursuit of a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous South Africa." He left us with a strong foundation to defeat the demons of apartheid and to follow those who pursue the ideals of unity and tolerance, and not the false prophets of disunity and intolerance. I am privileged to have been spawned by this man. I carry his name with pride. I fear no insult or silent gossip that shall flow from that name. I wear his name and memory as a badge of honor. I am who I am because of him. Here lies a man with no wealth, no possessions, and no title. But here lies a successful man. Hamba Gashle, Comrade Swami.